my name is Cindy and today I'm going to do the mid-year book freakout tag. So I've never done a tag before. I mean, I haven't even done the booktube newbie tag or the authortube newbie tag. Frankly, I looked at the questions for the authortube newbie tag, but they kind of scared me. There were good questions, don't get me wrong, but I had to think so much about them, like what my answers were going to be. So I figured let's start my first tag video with something easy, which is to talk about books, because I love to talk about books. And especially this tag is going to be looking at what I read so far and what I'm going to read next. So that's what we're doing today. My reading goals for this year are: first, I want to read 40 books, and I succeeded. I've read 44 books so far, almost 45 because I'm nearly finished with my audiobook. And 2, I have a subscription to Owlcrate, and I noticed I love Owlcrate so much, I love the books, but I noticed that I don't always immediately read the books. My other goal was to read more Owlcrate books, which I've been doing okay so far. I think I've caught up a little. I'm now like, I've read half the books they send, so that's okay, that's doing okay, because we all know the problem of buying and buying books and then they're sitting prettily on your shelf and you're not reading them. So, question 1, best book you've read so far in 2020. This was very hard for me. I had 2 choices, but I wanted to choose one, so I made myself choose, and in the end, The House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune is the best book I've read so far. Ta-da! It has made the cut. If you're curious, the other book was The Guinevere Deception by Kirsten White. Strong contenders, but this one won in the end because this book was just so lovely. I read it all in a day and a half and it just made me so happy. This book made me so happy, and I think that is ultimately what you need when you read. Like, sure, you also need books to broaden your horizons and to teach you stuff and like to entertain, but when it makes you happy, nothing can beat that. Question number 2. Best sequel you've read so far in 2020. Now, okay, I have not read a lot of sequels, and unfortunately most of the sequels I read weren't great. But a sequel that I loved was Gemini, the second book in the Illuminae Files series. I was very curious to see if the second book was going to live up to my expectations because I loved Illuminae, the first one, and yes, it did. This was a very good book. I do still think my favorite of the trilogy is the first one, Illuminae, but this made me feel many emotions. Question 3. New release you haven't read yet, but want to. So for this question, I have 2 answers, and I am going to name them both because they're both equal and very heavy. It's Crescent City by Sarah J. Maas, I was so surprised when this came in the mail. I opened it and I was like, whoa, that is a very large book. This new release came out, haven't read it yet, want to read it. And second, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins, the prequel to The Hunger Games, which is also a big book. Admittedly not as heavy as the other, but still very big. And yeah, I just really want to read this. I reread The Hunger Games a year and a half ago. I loved it so much. It's just objectively one of the best series out there. Yeah, I'm super curious to see what I'm going to think of this one. I still need to read it. Really want to read it. Question 4. Most anticipated release for the second half of the year. That would be Darius the Great Deserves Better. I've read the first book like a month ago, not too long ago, and I loved it so much, and I can't wait for the second book to be here. I can't believe people had to wait super long for this book. I'm so happy I don't have to wait long. Question 5. Biggest disappointment. Again, I have 2 books for this. Hear me out, okay? So the 2 books are Yes, No, Maybe So and Solitaire. So this one is by Becky Albertalli and Aisha Seed. I bought it because I love everything Becky Albertalli writes. Turns out I don't, not as much. These were both disappointing to me in different ways. In the end, Solitaire was maybe less disappointing. It was disappointing because I had read, devoured, and loved both of Alice Oseman's book at that time and the Heartstopper comic. I think I had too high expectations for this, and it took me so long to get what she was trying to do with this book, with this novel, that in the end I was just so disappointed for like more than half of the book before I figured, oh wait, this is where you're going. This book, I find it hard to articulate what disappointed me. I think I was just very excited for another Becky Albertalli book because I read What If It's Us by Adam Silvera and Becky Albertalli. Also didn't love that one as much as I had hoped to. This just didn't click for me. This was sold to me as a contemporary romance, and that's not what this is. The romance plot ultimately took away from what the book was trying to do, I think, and I think it would have been better without the romance, actually. Which is not something I think I would ever say, because I just really love romance in my books. Don't get me wrong, romance doesn't need to be there. It's not like I think every story needs a romance. It's not like I feel that friendship is less important. Just when a book makes me swoon, when it makes me root or pine or ache, I just love that. But okay, yeah. No, I actually think this would have been better if they had both been friends, and this book could have focused more on the topics of racism and politics, American politics in particular. And I think it would have been better for it. Question 6. Biggest surprise. Okay, so my biggest surprise was an audiobook, actually. It was Daisy Jones and the Six. I listened to it as an audiobook because a lot of people said the audiobook was great, and it is. It's a full cast audiobook, which works really well. I heard the premise so many times because the book got very big on BookTube, and a lot of people were like, yeah, it's about this fictional band in the 60s or something. It's sort of their biography kind of, and it deals with like their internal problems. It didn't sound up my alley at all. I was like, I'm not going to like that, am I? But then I listened to the book and I just got so invested and kept finding excuses to turn on my audiobook, and it just was such a surprise, such a nice surprise to really like a different genre, different book than I normally read. Question 7. Favorite new author? Debut or new to you? So for this question, I'm going to go with Kirsten White, I'm so sorry, Kirsten White, which is a new to me author. My best friend loves her as an author and been talking about her for a while now. I love this book so much and can't wait for the second book to come out. Question 8. Newest fictional crush. I don't have one, actually. Question 9. Newest favorite character. Okay, I don't have this book with me because I don't even think I could get it physically, but it is Ilya Rozanov from Heated Rivalry, which is a male-male romance book. I had not expected to love this as much as I did, but this was great. This was honestly very, very great. I mean, very smutty, so please be aware of that. Especially Ilya Rozanov, I loved him a lot. His humor, it was peak humor. Question 10. A book that made you cry. I didn't have a lot of options because there weren't a lot of books that actually made me cry, but I think I cried at least once with every book in the Illuminae Files series. With Illuminae, I actually cried twice. So that's why I picked this one, also because this is my favorite out of the trilogy. I can't tell you why, because obviously that would be a spoiler, but let's just say this is just so action-packed and tense, and the thing these characters go through it's a lot. It's a lot. Question 11. A book that made you happy. Well, no surprise here that I'm going to go for The House in the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune. Like I said, this book made me happy. Happy beyond belief. I was like floating on cloud 9 while reading this. Question 12. Most beautiful book you've bought so far this year or received. I have 2 that I'm kind of torn about. First of all is Sorcery of Thorns. I just love this cover so much. I love the artist, Joe Painter. Just look at it, it's so pretty. Or The Deathless Girls by Kieran Millwood Hargrave, which I bought myself, and just the aesthetic, like the autumnal vibes, but kind of mysterious and with the foil. I just thought it was so pretty. It was kind of a cover buy, but also because the summary just sounded great. What books do you need to read by the end of the year?
Okay, so I have 2 books.
The first one is The Henna Wars by Adiba Jagidar. I'm sorry if I butchered the name. Honestly, I'm so excited for this. I don't read a lot of sapphic romances, so very excited about this. Also Bonds of Brass, which was a contender for pretty covers because I really like the cover. I don't know, just a galaxy with the blue and the pink combo. always a good combo. Gaze in Space is what I heard, and that's why I bought this book. And I really want to read this. Even though it's book 1 in a trilogy, so maybe waiting until the other books are out is better for like my mental health, you know, but nah. So, my camera died right before I finished the video. Anyway, I also really want to read another book by J. Kristoff because I love the Illuminae series so much and I just really want to read more of his works. I have Lifelike, another sci-fi book. I think he almost exclusively writes sci-fi except for Nevernight, which is fantasy, I think. Yeah, so Lifelike is about androids and I read the blurb and it gave me kind of the Droid Become Human vibes but without the iffy symbolism, you know? I didn't really give you any summary of the other books, but I honestly couldn't give you a summary of this other than androids. And another book that I have of J. Kristoff is also co-written by Amy Kaufman and it's Aurora Rising, which also has a beautiful cover. I think this is their new big series trilogy after Illuminae, so this is also very high on the list of trying out. So yeah, those were all the questions in the mid-year book freak out tag. I had so much fun doing this actually. I should do another tag. Let me know how your reading is going so far. Are you satisfied with what you've read? Do you set personal goals for yourself? So thank you so much for watching. I hope you liked it. Let me know if you liked it by like giving it a thumbs up or I don't know, subscribing. I know I haven't done a reading vlog in a while or a writing vlog, but I do want to do that again because I finally delved into book 3 of my werewolf book series, so yeah, I sort of want to document a little. And see you in the next video. Bye bye!